All right. I want to make sure you all can hear me and see my screen. Yes? Adrian, are we good? Okay.
Yes, you're good. Sounds
Okay.
very good.
All right. So if you're in the process of applying to colleges or applying for scholarships, you know that the quality of your essays is critical. One of the most common questions I'm asked is, what can I do to ensure that my essay gets me into the college I'm targeting or earns me the scholarship I'm applying for? If you've been wondering the same thing, you're in luck, because today I'm going to share the top 10 tips and strategies for writing a winning application essay. These are strategies that I found to be helpful for my own kids as well as for the students that I've worked with. So let's take a look at what we're going to cover today. In today's webinar, we're going to discuss how to approach writing an outstanding application essay, covering everything from how to select which prompt or prompts to respond to, how to develop a plan for your essay, and the actual mechanics and process you should apply when developing your application essays. We're going to go over tips and strategies to help your essay stand out from the rest, and I'm also going to respond to the questions you have during the Q&A portion of the webinar. As we go, if you have questions, you can input them into the chat, or you can jot them down and just be ready to raise your hand, like Adrian said, for the Q&A in the later part of the presentation. Throughout the webinar, I'm going to be looking for you guys to help out by engaging and interacting with me. So occasionally I might ask a question and ask you all to respond in the chat. This helps me to better understand who's watching, what kind of information is helpful, and what areas you might need additional information on. So let's try this out. I'd like to get a sense of who's watching right now. Can you respond in the chat? Indicate if you're a student by typing 1, and if you're a parent, type 2. And for those who watch through the entire webinar, we're going to be offering a special thank you gift, which I'll talk about briefly at the end of the webinar. Okay, so you need to understand the importance of your application essay. Your essay provides a window into who you are and why the admissions rep or the scholarship reviewer should care about you. All factors being equal, a powerful essay may just tip the scales in your favor, or it could tip them against you if another candidate's essay is more compelling than yours. A well-written essay demonstrates your creativity, uniqueness, and grasp of language and grammar. These are factors that can definitely influence an admissions rep. These same factors can also persuade a financial aid advisor to offer you a scholarship. If you are a strongly qualified student, your essay can reaffirm your GPA and test scores and solidify you in the eyes of the college representative. Alternatively, if there are gaps or issues in your qualifications, such as perhaps you feel your GPA or test scores don't truly represent your capabilities, or perhaps you have outstanding academics but haven't participated in extracurriculars to the level that you wish you had, your essay can definitely bridge the gap. The essay offers an opportunity for you to showcase your best assets, even within the constraints of a very specific essay topic. That's something we're going to discuss in greater detail later on in the presentation. So the first strategy that will help you to write a winning application essay is to truly understand its importance and know how it can impact your chances of getting admitted to colleges, and also how it may impact your ability to obtain a scholarship. Because many of you have, some of you have already written your college application essays. For students that are a little bit older that might be returning to college. So for those students, just know that whatever I'm going to talk about refers to scholarship essays. And for those of you applying to college, know that this applies to you. So this will work for whatever you are applying for. If you're applying to colleges with the Common App, you're going to be required to respond to one essay question, and you'll have several prompts to choose from. But be aware that many colleges will ask that you respond to one or more additional essay prompts beyond what's required by the Common App. And if you're applying to any of the University of California campuses, you're going to be required to respond to 4 personal insight questions. Apply Texas offers 3 essay prompts, but depending on the school, sometimes you might only need to respond to 1 or 2 of them. And some of you may be using the Coalition app, which is now accepted by some private colleges. The bottom line is, be sure to visit the website for each college you're applying to so that you know what type of application they accept, and so that you know what their application essay requirements are, so that you aren't surprised. Whichever application you are using to apply to colleges, be sure to read the essay instructions in detail. This is also relevant when applying for scholarships. All right, so this applies to all essay types, whether you're applying for scholarships or colleges. You really need to adhere to the instructions. This is not the time to try to break or bend the rules. If the essay has a minimum or maximum word count, you want to stick to it. If the essay requires a specific font style, type, margin, double spacing, or whatever, make sure you adhere to the requirements. Always write your essay, either in Google Docs or in a Word doc that you save on your computer if you're applying to colleges. Now, ScholarshipOwl recently debuted a new text editor that you can use if you are using ScholarshipOwl to apply for scholarships. And I'll talk about that a little bit more shortly, but I just wanted to make that clear that we now have a text editor right in our platform. So if you're applying to scholarships with us, you don't have to use Google Docs or Word. When you are finished and ready to submit your essay, if the application has a form for you to use for your essay, you can copy and paste your finished essay into the form and review it to ensure your formatting is still there and fix it if it's not, and then you want to submit. You also want to read the essay prompt. Sorry, one second here. You also want to read the essay prompt thoroughly and break it down into pieces to be sure you understand exactly what's being asked. Stay on topic throughout your essay. Make sure your essay actually responds to the topic, because too often students start on topic, but then they meander away from it later in the essay. So I gave you a lot of information right there, but the main thing to remember is the second strategy to ensure you write a winning application essay is to always adhere to the essay guidelines and always stay on topic. This may seem obvious, but you would be surprised just how often this is an issue. You also always want to do your research. When you approach an application essay, it's critical you take the time to do some research. Now you might be saying, but an application essay isn't a research paper. Why do I have to do research to write it? So I'm going to explain. Even though most application essays are not a research paper, you still need to do your due diligence and research the organization that's offering the scholarship, or research the college that's accepting students for admission. So for example, for those of you who are targeting a particular college for admission, it's imperative that you take time to research that college. And honestly, it's important that you research every university you're applying to, especially the more selective ones. What are they looking for when making admission decisions? Most universities will have this information right on their website. While of course this is important when deciding which colleges to apply to, it's also important to do this when preparing to write a college application essay or a scholarship essay for a particular university. Having this information will enable you to tailor your essay, enabling you to showcase how you're going to fulfill what they're looking for in a student and how you'll fit in with the campus culture. Doing your research is also important when applying for an essay offered by a nonprofit organization or corporation. For example, let's say you're applying for a scholarship offered by a company you've never heard of. You're going to want to research the company to find out who they are, what they do, and what they care about. This will then help you decide how to focus and tailor your essay to ensure the people who read your essay are going to feel more connected to your essay, and through your essay, to you. After you've done this research, think about how you fit in with what the university or company or organization cares about, and jot some notes down about how it relates to the research that you've conducted. Then show your notes to your parent or another adult who knows you well. Describe what you found out when conducting your research, and talk about the notes you've written about yourself. Ask for their input and their suggestions, because chances are that person will have additional insight that you can leverage as you move on to the next step. So the third strategy to follow to ensure you write a winning application essay is to do your research and make sure the essay you plan to write incorporates what you learned. Okay. Next, it's time to create your outline. You're going to want to start by copying and pasting the essay prompt right on top of the document so you can easily refer to it. Then you want to create a rough outline, similar to the way you've created outlines for essays in school. If the maximum allowed word count is pretty short, then you might only have 3 paragraphs for your essay: a short intro, a longer body paragraph, and a short conclusion. If the maximum allowed word count is much more flexible or longer, then your essay might have 4 or 5 paragraphs. That would be an intro, 2 to 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Organize your outline according to the number of paragraphs you anticipate that you're going to have. Within each section of your outline, jot down ideas for what you'd like to include. You don't need to have complete sentences yet, just have some notes. Be sure to review the essay prompt periodically to ensure that what you're including in your outline responds to the prompt, and to ensure that you're responding to the entire question rather than just a portion of it. Once your draft outline is complete, review what you've written and think about what makes you unique. Consider your academic abilities, your skills, talents, volunteer service, extracurriculars, etc. What are you going to be majoring in? How might your major impact what you write about in response to the prompt? Consider your personal background and challenges you've encountered and overcome. How much of any of this have you incorporated into your outline? If you feel you've missed some things that you would really like to share, consider the essay prompt again and see what you can do to incorporate at least some of what makes you unique into your outline in a way that strengthens your response to the essay prompt. Avoid trying to cram details into your essay if they will pull you off topic. But if there is a way to incorporate some of these details about yourself into the essay while still staying on topic, update your outline accordingly. If needed, you can eliminate some things that were previously in your outline too, so long as you do so while keeping the essay prompt in mind. So the fourth strategy that will help ensure you write a winning application essay is to always start with an outline. You'll be more organized, which will enable you to stay on topic and include what's important. So it's really important you start early when writing your first draft. This is really important. Think about what you learned in school about writing essays. Essays require time and planning. Don't rush, especially with an essay this important. After starting with an outline, you're going to proceed to writing your first draft. Then you'll review and edit your essay in a second round and do it again for a third round and possibly a fourth or even a fifth round if needed. Bottom line, don't start your application essay the night before it's due. But, of course, if you're in a bind and want to apply for a scholarship that has a fast approaching deadline, maybe even a next day deadline, I'm not saying that you shouldn't apply. Of course, it's always better to apply early, but if you simply can't, you should still apply for the scholarship. You can still use the tips and strategies in this webinar to help increase your chances of earning the scholarship. Because, of course, if you don't apply for a scholarship, then you'll have no chance of earning it at all. But if you do apply, you do have a chance, even if you're applying at the last minute. But that all said, I still say the strategy for writing a winning application essay is to start early. If you wait to the last minute, it will show in your writing. But if you have no choice and can't apply early, you should still apply as long as the deadline hasn't already passed. Okay, so now let's talk about the actual process of writing your essay. When writing your essays to apply for college, I recommend, as I said, that you write your essays in Google Docs or Microsoft Word rather than writing them directly in the input box for the college application. But if you're writing an essay to apply for scholarship with ScholarshipOwl, you can use Google Docs or Word also, or you can use the new text editor that I mentioned that's in our dashboard. If you use our text editor, you'll find the feel is similar to Google Docs, but we do have some special things in there that help you streamline your writing process, so it's worth checking out. And you can also save your essay in our platform and return to it later if you need to. So when writing your rough draft, you're going to start with the essay prompt at the top of your document. Begin writing the introduction using your outline as the starting point. Strong essays have a hook that pull the reader in from the get-go. What will your hook be? Each essay reader may be reading hundreds of essays. Put yourself in their shoes. Would you want to read the same kinds of essays over and over again? Your eyes would likely glaze over. So you'll need to make sure that your essay has a strong intro to ensure your application reviewer is paying attention. With that in mind, spend some time on this first paragraph and do your best to set that hook while also ensuring that your first paragraph appropriately conveys the key points that will be discussed in your essay. So the sixth strategy for ensuring you write a winning application essay is to not be boring and predictable in your intro. Set the hook in your first paragraph to captivate those who will be reading your essay and making scholarship or admission decisions. Be sure to show and not tell. This is really important. It's easy to say, I love playing soccer. I've been a competitive soccer player for the past 7 years, and I've made significant contributions to my high school's varsity team. But it takes more thought and care to truly show the reader how and why soccer is important to you. The best way to do this is by sharing details and examples that demonstrate your commitment to the sport. A UC admissions consultant with a blog called Ask Ms. Sun said it this way in a recent blog post. Follow the format of, this is what I want you to know. This is an example showing you what I want you to know. This is what I just told you. So keeping that in mind, here's an example that I came up with. Soccer is truly integral to my life. In addition to training with my team every day, I also devote my personal time to training, running drills, and practicing shots on goal in my backyard before I get ready for school. I also do weight and cardio training in a fitness center to build strength and endurance. My younger sister is an avid soccer player as well, and I take time to work with her and her team every week as well. I'm a top-ranked player in my state and would love to be a Duke University Blue Devil, as I know I would be part of an elite team that would truly challenge me. See the difference? And this is important for both application essays and scholarship essays. Next, write the body paragraphs for your essay using both your outline and your introductory paragraph to get you started. Be sure to review the essay prompt often to be sure that you're staying on topic, and always remember to show, not tell. Draft your concluding paragraph, being sure to summarize the points made in the preceding paragraphs while also ending with a compelling final sentence. Within this paragraph, you're going to want to refer back to the essay prompt and what you write, ensuring the reader connects the dots appropriately. Review your essay in entirety, tweaking the phrasing where needed. Chances are you're going to need to adjust your intro paragraph a bit now that you've written the entire essay, as you've gotten greater perspective now, and you'll probably have a better arc throughout if you make some adjustments to that first paragraph. Check your word count. How close are you to the maximum word count? If your essay is significantly under the maximum word count, go back into your essay and build it up further with more detail. If you're significantly over the word count, check to see what you can easily trim down. If you are over the word count, but not significantly over, then congratulations, you are where you should be for a first draft. So the 7th strategy for ensuring you write a winning application essay is to always show, not tell. I know I've already told you about the importance of starting early in a previous strategy, but here it is again. I can't emphasize enough how important it is that you start early so that you'll have plenty of time to edit, get feedback, and edit again. But of course, when applying for scholarships, better late than never in any case, because remember, you can't get a scholarship if you don't even apply for it. That said, if at all possible, I recommend that you wait at least one full day before starting your second draft of the essay. You'll have a fresh perspective, enabling you to have greater insight into the edits that are needed. Review your essay thoroughly. Review the essay prompt and make sure your essay appropriately answers the entire prompt. Assuming that you've exceeded the maximum word count somewhat, look for ways to trim your essay down to the appropriate length. Review and fix any grammatical, punctuation, and spelling errors. Review your essay to ensure you haven't used any specific words repetitively, as well as to ensure your content in general isn't repetitive. This is a common problem, especially for students who have written essays that are under the word count. If you find that you've overused certain words or ideas, make the necessary revisions to resolve. Refrain from plugging in synonyms you can find in a thesaurus to make it sound like you have a big vocabulary. If you do, it's likely that the essay readers will recognize that you've done this. Instead, if you feel that your vocabulary doesn't reflect your grasp of the English language, review what you've written and think about how you might elevate your writing without relying on the crutch of a thesaurus. Consider your tone and writing style to confirm that they reflect the writing skills of a student entering college, and to confirm that you come across as emotionally connected to what you're writing about. This is important. If you seem emotionally disconnected from your subject, your essay will feel flat to the reader. Refer to your outline and notes about what you wanted to cover in your essay. Have you hit all the points you planned? Did you leave anything on the table? And if so, do you want to make changes to incorporate anything that's missing? Or do you feel that the missing points can be omitted? Address any of these issues and finish up your edits so that you have a completed second draft ready. Okay, so the 8th strategy for ensuring you write a winning application essay is, when at all possible, to leave enough time for subsequent drafts. And yes, I did say drafts because you aren't yet done with your essay. It's important that you obtain feedback. There are, of course, several options for feedback. You could ask several different people in your life to read your essay and give you feedback. You could ask your parent or guardian, a teacher, a guidance counselor, college admission advisor. You might also want to consider getting online feedback from an innovative new platform called Academically. With Academically, you can access online interactive feedback on your essays 24 hours a day and get that feedback right away rather than waiting days for someone to read your essay and get back to you. The feedback utilizes artificial intelligence to provide high-quality feedback that you can use to improve your essay. You can sign up for a free trial, so you might want to check it out. Of course, I do still recommend that you have one or more people who know you personally review your essay to give feedback, but Academically is a great option for situations when that isn't possible, and it's also a great addition to your feedback process. Once you've received feedback, consider it and incorporate the recommended edits that you agree with, keeping in mind the word count as well as your own view of the recommendations that have been made. Remember, this is your essay and it should reflect your own thoughts, ideas, and experiences. Refrain from allowing an adult to rewrite your essay for you. Admission reps and scholarship application readers are pretty savvy, and they're likely going to be able to tell if someone else has written a lot of your essay. So the 9th strategy for writing a winning application essay is to always obtain feedback from one or more adults you trust, who you know have strong writing and editing skills. And finally, after all the effort you've spent on this essay, it can be tempting to rush it, to upload it, and finally click the submit button on your application. But it's so important that you take the time to review your essay again and ask your reviewers to do the same. Be sure your essay is error-free, no spelling errors, no punctuation errors. If you've been using track changes in Microsoft Word, or if you've been editing within Google Docs, you may find that while making the changes, you've accidentally omitted a comma or a period or something like that. Be sure to review your essay thoroughly and fix any issues you find. You should also reread the instructions for the essay and confirm that your document is formatted per the requirements and confirm you're within the required word count. Most college application essay topics and scholarship application topics lend themselves to a personal narrative, meaning you will likely not have to do much, if any, research to write your essay beyond researching the organization or the college. But if there are some scholarship essay topics that are likely to require some research. If this is the case for you, it should go without saying that you will need to cite sources of any data or information that you found online or through resources at your library. And it should also go without saying that you must ensure that all writing is your own. Do not plagiarize or create the appearance that you're plagiarizing. If you have access to a Turnitin account or something similar that can do a plagiarism check, I highly recommend that you use it. Once you're certain your application essay is the way you want it, you should be good to go. So the 10th strategy for ensuring you write a winning application essay is to thoroughly review your essay prior to submission. Once you know it's the way you want it, follow the upload instructions on the application or copy and paste it into the essay window. Next, go through the entire application to be sure that you've completed everything and attached any required documents. Once you know the application is complete and accurate and your essay or essays are attached, click the submit button. So here are some tips to remember. You want to write about something that truly matters to you and that also responds to the essay prompt. If you're writing about computer science, what is it about that field that fascinates you? What do you hope to accomplish once you have your degree? Be emotionally connected to your subject and show that in your writing. I have read many draft application essays, and I find this is one of the most common issues I come across, that the writer seems disconnected or indifferent in their emotional tone. Show your passion and determination. Choose words and phrases that let that come through in your writing. If there are things you want to communicate about yourself, find ways to put a bit of that into your essay without going off topic onto an obvious tangent. This can be challenging if the essay prompt isn't really related to what you want to talk about. You might not be able to convey everything you want to, but you may be able to integrate 1 or 2 points that support the topic. If possible, incorporate a brief anecdote that demonstrates your emotional connection to the subject and that can also showcase your ability to problem solve a situation. Review your use of figurative language, syntax, vocabulary, etc. Your writing should be collegiate in style and tone while still being personal, reflecting who you are and what you care about. Always proofread carefully and get feedback on your essay. All right, so that concludes the presentation portion. I do want to tell you to hang on because we're going to be doing a Q&A in a moment, but I want to tell you briefly about a special thank you we're going to be offering. As a thank you for attending this webinar and staying through the live Q&A with me and Adrian, which is going to start momentarily, we're offering a checklist tool that will help you. The application essay checklist is an invaluable tool that you can use throughout the essay writing process, whether you're applying to colleges or applying to scholarships. It's the ideal companion for this webinar, and I know you're going to find it to be a really helpful resource. So stay on with us now to be sure you're going to be able to receive this after the Q&A. All right, so Adrian, let's get on here.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. That was pretty amazing. I mean, you're so good at breaking things down. This is very complicated, writing essays. And you know, one of my first questions is like, how do you deal with writer's blocks? What if you sit down and you just sit there and you don't know what to write? Like, where do you start? Is there such thing as writer blocks, or how does that work?
Oh gosh, writer's block. You know, I think you have to really choose your prompt carefully. And I think that really, I'm going to talk now for a second about college applications rather than scholarship applications, because with most college applications, if you're using the Common App or, for example, the UC app, they give you choices. So you can actually look at each of the essay prompts that they're giving you, and you can choose which one or ones you want to respond to. For the UC, you have to respond to 4 out of 8. For the Common App, you respond to 1 out of 7. So it helps to pick the right essay topic for you. That can help break through that writer's block if you have it. If that's not working, then I think the best thing to do is to put the essay aside for a little bit, do something else, let it ruminate in your brain for a bit, and then come back to it.
Cool. And is there so that all the essays that you're writing and submitting, I mean, there must be thousands of them that they receive. Do they actually sit and read all that, or are the computers reading it, or how does that work?
That's a great question. For colleges, yes, they are definitely reading those essays. And they have, each essay reviewer can review hundreds of essays. And your eyes literally do glaze over. It's so much to take in. For scholarships, it really depends, right? Some scholarships, they do have application raters. In other cases, there may be a system where there's an algorithm that picks, or they may do a random draw. I'd like to think that most scholarships that require an essay are going ahead and having people review the essays, but I can't guarantee that because, I don't know what each scholarship provider is doing. But if my answer to that is, if there is going to be a scholarship essay that you're writing for an application, take the time to write a good essay. Don't assume that you can write anything and just attach it because it's going to do a random draw. You have to assume that someone's going to be reading those essays.
Mm. And what if you apply for multiple schools? Do you use the same essay, or is there a new essay to every school?
It really depends. So for example, if you're applying to schools that accept the Common App, you can use the exact same personal statement essay to all of them. The Common App system online lets you do that. But some colleges, even with the Common App, they'll say, yeah, we want your personal statement, but then we have this other supplemental essay topic that you need to write to. And so then you'll have to respond maybe to different essay topics for the colleges in addition to the first essay that you wrote. For the UCs, the 4 questions that you respond to, they go to all of the UCs that you apply to. So there's that at least. And also a lot of these application essays for colleges, you can often kind of reformulate them into scholarship essays. But you also have to be careful. I've seen a lot of people that submit an essay that I can clearly tell was written for some other topic, and they've tried to kind of format it and make it work for the essay prompt. And it's pretty obvious when that happens. So if you're going to try to do that, you really need to look at your essay prompt and make sure you've made adjustments to accommodate for it.
A lot of people are asking what kind of question, or there was like a help website you mentioned. There were a lot of people asked that. Was there a website you mentioned?
Yes, called academically.com, and I'll put it in here right now. See that there? It's ecree.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, for those of you who joined, we will only accept questions for the people with the camera. If you don't have a camera, you're welcome to write the question on the chat room, which we'll follow. So keep that in mind. And so Emma has a question. Are there any topics we should avoid writing about for scholarship college essays, such as topics that are overused?
Yeah, I don't know that there's topics that are overused, right? There's going to be essay prompts you choose from. So they already know that they're going to get lots of essays to each of these prompts that they've presented. What really matters is which prompt do you most identify with? What do you have the most to talk about? I've been in situations where I've worked with students where they present me their first essay that they've written for a prompt, and it looks just like they're having trouble. They're having trouble connecting to the topic. They don't know a lot they can say. And so I'll talk to them and I'll ask them a little bit more, and then I'll find out that really they don't have a lot to share on that topic. And so then I say, you know what, let's go back to the drawing board, pick a different topic. I think a great example of this is a very common essay prompt that people want to respond to is what I refer to as an adversity essay, right? Where you're supposed to talk about the adversity and challenges that you've had in your life and how you've overcome them. Now, for many students, they've had real adversity, right? Other students may not have had as much adversity. And so somebody who has maybe been pretty lucky in their life and they live with a family and then everything is going well, that maybe they're not wealthy, but they do pretty well financially. There's no major personal issues. Those students really struggle to write an adversity essay because their life has been pretty good. So I tell those students, don't try to do that. Write an essay talking about your achievements. Don't try to create adversity where there isn't. And most importantly, don't try to make stories up. I never recommend that somebody makes something up so they have something to talk about. Be honest, be yourself. And if you do that, you're going to have that come through in your writing.
Cool. It seems like people are showing their camera. So Ann Mason, I think you were in there a little bit. So we're gonna let you talk first.
I have a question. So I'm entering my second year in college this semester. I was wondering when I could apply for scholarships.
Sure. Well, luckily you can apply now. There are scholarship providers that have scholarships going year round. So it's always a good idea to be thinking about scholarships. You should also be applying to scholarships available from the university that you're attending. And so for the university, they're going to have their own deadlines. And so you're going to want to check out and see what those are. But typically, scholarship deadlines are going to be somewhere between December and February. That's what I find is common. Sometimes it's a little earlier or later, but that gives you a ballpark. But for the other organizations that offer scholarships, there are so many of them, and it's worth applying all the time. For those of you who use the ScholarshipOwl application, we have it set up so that it tells you the deadline, and you can sort it by reverse chronological order. So you can apply to the ones that are coming up soonest for deadlines, and start there and then work your way backwards. So that's one thing that's nice about using our application.
So now is like the best time to apply for scholarships.
I think it's a great time to apply for scholarships. Absolutely. I'm sure most of you are learning remotely. It's a great time to apply for scholarships. You've got a little extra time, maybe. It may not be the best time to be a student these days, to be stuck at home, but it is a great time to be applying for scholarships because you do have a little more time on your hands, and hopefully we'll all be back in the classroom in a few months, and by then you'll be too busy. So why not do it now?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have Tyrell.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We hear you. Barely see you. I can hear you.
I'm in Florida and it's like 8 p.m. so it's dark and like the light in the camera not working.
No worries.
So my question is about like the Common App essays. Usually the prompt, like you said, is very personal and it could be about growth. But a lot of students like me, like basically I have a physical disability. So my career goal is to major in business so I can create products for people with disability. So I love to talk about my disability and show my growth, but a lot of times that can like miscommunicate in essays and it can be like, oh, it just pity, pity, pity. So my question is, how do you show your growth in the essay effectively so they know it?
Okay, I'm going to try my best. Your voice was a little muddled. I'm hoping I got it right. I understand you're a business student. You want to be able to write about your growth. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes. And
okay.
But a lot of times students, they like, the way they write about it, it's more about pity and it doesn't translate well into essays.
I understand, yes. Everybody has their own unique situation, and I agree with you that the way you present yourself in your essay can make a difference. There are students that really are in uniquely difficult and challenging situations where they're kind of desperate. And sometimes it can come across a bit desperate in the essay, and sometimes that can work in that student's favor because maybe they really touch the person who's reading it. Other times people may not perceive that well. I think for you, it sounds like you already know what you want to write about and how you want to present yourself. And I think writing about your growth is a great way to go. There are lots of students who have a lot of things they can talk about that they've learned, that they've grown, that they've tried. If you've been an intern somewhere, if you've had career experience, if your GPA is high, if you've won honors and awards, these are all things you can talk about in your essay and show your growth, show your commitment to your field. I think that's a great way to go. I just wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't choose the adversity prompt or something like that. You want to choose something that allows you to expand on how you've used what you've learned so far and where it's going to take you in your life.
Okay.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, do we have anyone else on the camera?
Hi.
Hi. Can you guys see me and hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, I got into Columbia for grad school, and they did not offer me any financial aid besides loans. And Columbia is extremely expensive, and I don't have money. So I'm wondering if you have any tips for trying to reach out to the financial aid department or any scholarship sources that I could tap into, because I need to figure something out really quickly.
Well, congratulations. First of all, you're right. Columbia is a fabulous school, so you should be very proud of yourself.
Yeah.
I do know it's also expensive. So I hear you. What's your major?
Architecture and urban planning. So I'm doing a dual degree.
Okay, and so this is undergrad or graduate? I couldn't hear you.
Graduate.
Graduate. Okay. So it is harder. I will just tell everyone who's watching, it's harder to get scholarships and grants for graduate programs. You probably know that already because a lot of those programs target undergraduate students. So it is a little bit more challenging, and a lot of the schools just assume that you're going to take out loans. You know, that's kind of what they think you're going to do, and they assume that if you're going to be applying to college, that you can afford to do that. First of all, I don't know, what your particular situation is. Did you apply to scholarships from Columbia already?
Yeah, so I've been applying to scholarships. They had a scholarship in the application, and since I got admitted, I've been applying to scholarships. So since March, but it's not even close to the cost of tuition.
Okay, all right. I would say to contact the Financial Aid and Scholarship Office, talk about your situation. You can apply to third-party scholarships through ScholarshipOwl or through other sources. So if you haven't already, you're going to want to explore doing that. I would also talk to people in your major department, because sometimes the scholarships that you apply for from the university, sometimes there's like a separate set through your major department, and they may be able to refer you to things that you don't know about.
Yeah.
So definitely want to look into that. Ask about payment plans also, because in many cases, students will decide, okay, I can't, I'm going to take the scholarships that I received. I am going to take out some loans and try to sort of cash flow it if you're working during the day. So always ask if there's a payment plan so that you can.
Trying to see what's drinking in my house.
Okay, thank you.
I can't. I gotta wait till 7:05.
You had to beating on that T trying to get it where it wasn't.
I told him it's frozen from the.
Okay, Leslie.
Sorry.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, my name is Leslie. I'm a rising senior in high school, and I have a question regarding college applications about how do you write to help explain why you did academically bad in one school year. So I was always a straight A student, but then junior I kind of hit
Things happen, sure.
Yeah. So how do I explain that in my application so that I could still have a chance in attending school?
Yeah, absolutely. So, without getting into detail with everybody here, I'll just kind of, about your personal situation, I'm just going to maybe suggest some things and talk to you about it. So first of all, if you're using the Common App, or I don't know where you're applying to colleges, but I'm going to use Common App as an example. There's always an additional information question where you can put some information in there and kind of explain the situation. There is a character limit or a word limit there, but you can explain some of that in there. Also, depending on the essay prompt you choose, you may be able to get that into your essay prompt, whichever one you've chosen. There's all kinds of reasons why students may not do well in a particular year or a particular semester.
What a measure valve?
If somebody else is talking, just try to be quiet or mute yourself so that I can talk to her. So there are all kinds of reasons why students may struggle, right? It could be anything from a health problem, a financial problem in the household, major change in your life, parents divorced, somebody died. There's all kinds of reasons. It could be that you had trouble adjusting in school. Whatever those issues are, they're personal, they're yours, and you are welcome to share them. And admission counselors are actually understanding. If you're able to write about it in an eloquent way, and especially it happened in your junior year, right? You're approaching your senior year. So if you can work really hard your first semester and show that you've changed, that's going to make a difference too. Just one quick note about applying for colleges. I know a lot of the times the colleges will say, don't send us your transcripts until we ask you, or something like that, right? When you have a situation like you're in, even if they haven't asked you for your fall transcript at the end of your fall semester, send it anyway. The moment your grades are in, assuming your grades are good, go ahead and get those official transcripts and submit them, and send an email as well and say, just so you know, I submitted my senior fall transcript because my grades weren't as good last year, but I'm doing better. And here are some things you don't know about me that have happened since I applied. And you can talk about anything you've done that's exciting your senior year that you've accomplished. Colleges are not technically supposed to accept that information, but if you send it, it's going to go in your file. And when they're trying to make a decision, they're going to look at those emails. So it's definitely worth it.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know you can send transcripts afterwards.
Yes.
Thank you for that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Send them, and if they complain about it, so what? Now they know that you're a student that's better than last year, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Anson. I'm a rising senior. I have just one question. One person told me that the main key factor in like a college essay is to like maybe try to find some sort of like experience in your life, and you basically like transform into a metaphor. But I don't really know how is it that I can actually do it. One example that like she gave me was piano, because I play piano. So how can that kind of like format underneath the theme of like, because like I wrote my first draft, and it was like obstacles, and then like you go into like success, and like this is the person that you become. So how can you format like a metaphor, so to speak, with that?
Well, that's a very personal, unique situation that's hard to talk about over a webinar. I think, first of all, let me just say that advice, it's not bad advice, but I don't think it's something that you should let hamper you. Most people do not use that as how they write their essays. I don't think you have to use it as a metaphor. And I think sometimes, this is just my own opinion, so it has nothing to do with what the person advised you, but my own opinion is it's much better to be yourself and be articulate, be warm, be connected, be passionate. Sometimes when you try to use a device like a metaphor or something, it kind of puts you in a box, and then you have to sort of write to the device rather than just being yourself and being who you are. So I don't think you necessarily have to do that. You could try it, but if it's hard for you and not working for you, then write in a way that does work for you.
Okay.
That would be my advice.
Okay. So, and another thing is like, for the college essays, right? They want to be entertained. Like they want to hear like a story, so to speak. They don't want you just like you said, just don't tell, just show, like, just demonstrate like, what you've done, right? That's the other thing. Like, when I wrote my first draft, I'm not going to lie, it was more of me on like a ranting spree. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
But, I'm still trying to like, trying to see like how I can actually like maybe try to like, demonstrate like how like, what it is, because I don't want them to say like, oh, this is like, what this person like forced me to do, so to speak. They like, I want it to be more so of like, this is the advice that they provided, and then based on my judgment, this is like the advice I take into consideration, and then it's my decision that I use to like, move forward, so to speak.
Yes, I think that's correct. You do have to decide what advice you want to use and what you don't. I'd be happy to talk with you more, just so that all of you know, ScholarshipOwl does offer individual essay support services. So if that's something you're interested in, yeah, I'd be happy to work with you directly.
And it's free?
It's not free, but it's not very expensive. It's not expensive, actually, but it's not free. I wish it would be free, but but it's not much. And I'm not trying to sell you. I'm just saying that that's available. But I think you can do this. And I would say, without, again, because you're one person and there's hundreds of people on this, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about your individual situation. But as an example, if you were going to write about playing piano, for example, you could write about how you feel when you play the piano. What are the emotions that come out of you? How is it your coping mechanism, right? When things are turning badly, how do you use piano and sitting down and playing music to feel better? How does it change your life? These are the kinds of things you could do just with that one thing that you mentioned to me about yourself.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
Cool.
All right. So who else is going to turn on a camera, right?
Yeah, that was the last one without the camera. Trust me, like no one else. I mean, he just chimed in, so so he probably needed help. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we could help him. Yeah.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
I tried to write this kind of letter for, I think it's not too many times, but every time I just thought, okay, thank you for your applying, did all this thing. So I really disappointed what I was writing, and I think that I'm the worst person in the world. So I never ever can get approved to get any grant or something besides of the Pell Grant. So I do not know how to improve, and I follow all the step by step, and now I just ask myself, now what?
Yeah, I understand. It's hard to get scholarships, no question about it. How many have you applied for, do you think?
Not too many, because I'm afraid some scam, you apply everything, you show all the information out. And I do know some scam, I apply to what? It doesn't make sense at all when you key in more. So maybe around 5.
Okay. And are you a ScholarshipOwl member, or how are you finding the scholarships? Are they on Google or?
I applied, I find it out since I was in Berkeley City College.
Uh-huh.
So
So did you find them through the college? Like, what's your resource for finding the scholarships?
The OWL thing, I think, is using for the writing, the writing information. There's a website called OWL for writing. I think it's the related. I don't know. So I find you.
Okay. So, all right. First of all, if you haven't used ScholarshipOwl yet, you can get a free trial where we list scholarships for you. We find matches for you, and they're right in your dashboard. It makes it really easy. There's a lot of tools to streamline the process for applying to scholarships. One thing that we say, one thing I say, one thing me and my colleagues all say is that the more scholarships you apply for, the greater your chances of getting scholarships, right? Because to a certain extent, it's a numbers game. So if you apply for many scholarships, the chances are higher that you're going to get something versus if you apply for just a few. I do understand that you don't want to be scammed. I totally get it. In our application, we have something that we do where we actually have what we refer to as a credibility score. Well, it'll actually tell you by the higher the number, the more likely it is that it's a very credible scholarship versus the low numbers, we're not so confident that it's a credible scholarship. So there's a lot of tools right in the application that allow you to decide which scholarships to spend your time on, which ones to not waste your time on.
Yeah,
so that's one thing I would suggest.
I applied to now is Las Positas in Livermore. I applied through the school website. Of course, they're linked to me, and they say that when I apply, key in all the information, they would link up all the right thing for me. Some of them, they need a reference letter to professor. Some of them, they aren't. So I applied it, but since then, it's for a long time. They say that you will get the result in August because I applied since before the COVID-19.
Yeah. So, it's funny. I live about 25 minutes from Las Positas College, so I'm right in your neighborhood. I know exactly where you are. I'm in Discovery Bay, just to give you an idea.
Hey, Jennifer, don't give away where you live, because everyone's going to come and review my essay,
Maybe so.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me just tell you about applying for college scholarships through colleges, because colleges have great databases of scholarships right in your community. Highly recommend that you apply for those. And even if they ask for a letter of recommendation, if they ask for special documents, go ahead and do it, because you're already a student at that school and they're a great resource for scholarships. I will say that you're right. It can wait sometimes to the very last minute to find out if you got anything. Just to give you an idea, I've worked with students that find out literally on the first day of school that they got a scholarship, which it's like, wow, that's so late to tell me that I got a scholarship. But I think especially right now with COVID, the colleges are just scrambling. They're really struggling to keep things going. So if there's a delay in you finding out, that's probably why. They're probably really overwhelmed. But I would keep applying for those scholarships and call the financial aid office, or if there's nobody answering the phone, then send an email and say, please help me. I've applied and I'm waiting. Is this the first time you're attending college?
No, I almost transferred to UC.
Okay. Because I was going to say they have their first 2 years free program now, but it sounds like that won't qualify. You won't qualify.
Well, I still have, the problem is I couldn't graduate because the COVID-19. Because I'm studying the early childhood education, I need 50 hours practice. So I have a class, it's called ECE 90. So that one has to work, half school,
Okay.
No.
So I would say call the school. I wish I could talk to you more about your particular situation, but definitely call the school and talk to them about it.
Well, the professor said that you can, if you work in a preschool, you find your own way to work, to do the practice, the lab. But if you're not, you better what's that called? Quit.
Okay. Don't listen to that, but call the school, get some help.
Yeah, and another thing I want to add, Living, is that we have ScholarshipOwl created a fund for people, students affected by COVID-19. It's called a futuremindsfund.org. I'll drop it in the chat, and you are probably eligible for that. And we have already awarded 19 students with scholarships, and we're doing the best we can to gather even more funds. So that will be please go to futuremindfunds.org, and I'm sure you will qualify to apply. We're doing the best we can to pull money in from companies and private donations to help you guys as much as we can. So yeah.
Yeah. The last thing is, you know that the book is so expensive, and now everything electronic. Wow, my goodness! It's one class is $200 more than that. I'm going to die.
Wow.
Oh no!
Yes.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Hang in there. Okay,
So,
you're so close to finishing.
Sorry, you said that you show on the chat, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay, then I keep quiet. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I know Annie has her camera on, and we favor cameras. So Annie, you are more than welcome to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my situation is similar to the young lady that attended, that's going to attend Columbia. I'm a graduate student. I haven't even enrolled into my program yet because I'm so nervous about the fees that you automatically accrue simply by enrolling.
Right.
So my thing is, okay, so I already reached out to admissions in regards to university-based aid. They told me that they don't give anything out to graduate students. Crazy. But so when I reached out to the financial aid office, exactly like, okay, I explained my situation, but then how do I like kind of not so much as push the envelope on like, give me something, but like, how do I get over that hump after I explain my situation?
It's tough. Again, graduate schools, you know, there's limited aid, unfortunately, for graduate students. You can't get a Pell Grant for grad school.
I know.
So most states don't have aid for grad students. So it's really tough. I think the expectation, you know, I'm not saying this is right, but I think the way the federal government looks at it is their focus is on undergraduates, and they probably figured that a lot of grad students are going to work and kind of cash flow their way through college.
Yeah.
But that's easier to say than it is to do. So I totally. I would say that you need to, which school is this? Is it a private university?
It's Rowan University in New Jersey. I'm going to school for school psychology. So I'm going to go get my master's in EDS in school psychology.
Okay, awesome. What I would say is obviously talk to the school, see what options are available, ask about a payment plan, and do apply for scholarships that are not necessarily through the college as well, like through ScholarshipOwl, or you can search online and apply for scholarships. But it's a little tough because if you're going to be starting very soon, if you're starting this fall, then you're going to have to figure out a way to get started if you want to go before you get scholarship money, because chances are the funds are not going to come before you enroll.
Right. So, okay, quick question. Sorry, everybody. So when I send the email to financial aid, should I CC my academic advisor?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was a bit nervous about that because if you haven't enrolled, it's kind of like, girl, why would you, how dare you CC me?
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fine. And you can explain, you know, you could say, the fees are due and I really need some help before I pay that first fee.
Yeah.
And see what they tell you.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm going to actually send an email right now.
Take care.
We have a camera.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So I was asking earlier about like the physical disability.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in a motorcycle accident. I can't use my arm now, and I have to go back to school.
Okay.
It sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I was wondering, like, is there different types of like scholarships? Like, should I go specifically for the disability, or should I try to find one that I can tell a good story out of?
I think you apply for everything you can qualify for, right?
Yes,
so, you know, everything. So you look for scholarships that relate to disability, that relate to your major, that relate to the city you live in, the community you live in. your hobbies, whatever you can find, right? The other thing is, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if someone needs to mute themselves, but hopefully somebody can. But the other thing is, do you have any kind of notification from your doctor about the disability? Do you qualify for things under like the Americans with Disabilities Act?
So Stephen, I had to mute you because you have reverberation, so we couldn't hear Jennifer. So when you talk, unmute and then mute yourself again. So.
All right, got it. Yeah, I couldn't hear it for a second. I was wondering what's going on. But yeah, I just seen my doctor today, and like he was saying, I got canceled for the disability, so to pay for school, I have to find a job. So my plan right now is to go back to my community college. I already have a degree in performing arts, but I can't do much with that. So I want to go in for business. So the plan is get the business, start the business there and then transfer to a better school.
Sure. Okay.
But so like my doctor said like I should be able to get the disability, and he doesn't know why I didn't get it. So I have to go through the appeal for that for now.
Okay. Well, what I was going to say is, besides getting the disability, there are organizations that specifically help people with disabilities, and they may have funding that they can access for you. I don't know what the situation is where you live. Where I live, there's an organization called Project Hired that helps people that are disabled find work. So it could be that there is an organization out there for people that have disabilities where they can specifically request for money to get trained, something like that. So I would explore that, maybe talk to your doctor about that, and see if they have any suggestions for you. And then you can also, look up social services in your state, things like that, or in your community. But so I would access that in addition to applying for scholarships through the traditional route. And then also through the community college you're going to be attending, talk to somebody in the disability office. Almost every single community college has an office that serves the disabled students, and they may be able to help you with special funding and scholarships available directly from the college.
Yeah, I've been trying to get in contact with my college, and everything's closed down because of COVID. But the open campus in a few weeks. I was just trying to see if I could get like a head start on everything.
Might try to send an email, figure out what email address to send it to. Usually, at least in my experience with COVID, maybe you can't get somebody on the phone, but you can often get them in an email. And then you can try to set up a Zoom or a Skype or something like that so you can talk to them directly.
All right, awesome. I definitely appreciate it.
All right, take care.
All right, you too.
Good luck, Steven.
Thanks, man.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm a rising junior in high school, and I know that a lot of good college essays have a certain style and they're very stylistic. So I just wanted to know, how would I make my essay stand out stylistically so that it's just above.
Again, this is sort of like another question that somebody asked me. I think the more important thing is to be genuine, be yourself, be sincere. The ones that are stylistic, some people try to do that. But I think admissions advisors, they read those things and they can see through that. They know you're trying to put on a certain persona. I wouldn't try to do that. I think just try to be yourself. Talk about the things you've accomplished. Talk about the challenges in your life. Whatever you're doing in response to whatever essay prompt you're choosing. I think sometimes people try too hard and it comes across. That's what I would say, is be yourself. Hope that helps.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
So I want to clarify something. So based on what I heard, it seems to me that the personal essay needs to be something that is unique to myself, correct?
Yes.
It shows how I'm different from the others because of my unique personality in a way.
Yes and no. I mean, again, it depends on the essay prompt, right? Sometimes an essay prompt is tell us about your academic and career goals. Sometimes it's about something else. So you have to find what that topic is and find a way to communicate who you are and what is unique about you, what makes you different, what makes you special. But don't get caught up in worrying about not being special enough or not being unique enough, right? You just need to be who you are. And I think that's the most important thing. And I think it's hard. It's hard for people to write about themselves. I know, I've been through that. Not only have I had to do it myself, writing essays, but I work with students all the time. And it's always hard for them to talk about themselves, right? It's understandable. So that's one of the reasons I always say to get feedback from people in your life, because many times, you'll write a rough draft, you show it to one of your teachers, or you show it to your mom, and they'll have a completely different perspective and say, why didn't you talk about this thing that you did? That's so awesome. You should talk about that. And then it's like, oh yeah, I should have talked about that. I forgot. So that's why it's really good to get feedback from someone else who knows you, because they're going to know what's unique about you. And you can even ask, a friend or a parent and say, I'm trying to figure out what to write about in my essay. What do you think makes me unique? What have I talked to you about that's happened in my life that you think is exciting? People do the same thing in their resumes. They have trouble talking about themselves.
I think people are extremely judgmental when it comes to themselves. And but imagine being in a forest where there was only pine trees. Nobody wants that. We want different types of flowers, different types of trees. Be proud of who you are. Your uniqueness, nobody can compete with you on that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then one more thing, since for the moment I'm like current high school graduate, so since there's COVID situation, I just decided to go to a community college to get the 2 years, hoping to get the 2 years free tuition. But the scholarships that I would apply as early as now, would it like count as like money for the future, like when I transfer to like a college?
It really depends on the way the scholarship is written. In some cases, the scholarship money has to be used within a certain time frame. Like it might say that you must be enrolled in college by a certain date. In other ways, they'll say, that you can hang on to the money. Sometimes the scholarship will pay the college directly. So, you'll need to tell them what school you're going to, and they'll issue the check to the school. And then after the school takes their cut, then they'll give you the money left. Other times the scholarship will be a check right to you. Like I know the Future Minds Fund scholarships, we pay the student directly rather than paying the university. So it just kind of depends on what the scholarship requires. And also you want to check and see if you have to be a certain age, you have to be currently enrolled in school, things like that. But if you're going to college, you are enrolled in school. So let's say you got a $5,000 scholarship, and let's say you only, let's say tuition was $1,000 at the community college. They would issue you a refund check for $4,000, and you can use that for either to save it for when you transfer, or you can use it for your living expenses or to buy a laptop or whatever you need.
Wow. Okay. That's all I got. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
By the way, Jennifer, we are going over time, so just let us know when I should stop letting people in.
Okay, I'm still good to go. When I start clearing my throat a lot, you'll know I'm done.
Oh, okay.
All right, who's next?
Haley?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. You're a little quiet, but yes, I hear you.
So do scholarship, like when you win a scholarship, does the amount of money expire at some point, or can you like save on to it for later usage?
Yeah, that kind of relates to the question that was just asked. So usually, let's say the scholarship deadline is, I'm just giving an example. Let's say the deadline is February and they're going to make their decision by April. Then if you get the scholarship, then the money is either going to go directly to the school or go directly to you. If it's going to go directly to the school, they will expect you to tell them what school you're enrolled in, and they will issue the check to the school. The school will take their cut, and they'll give you the balance if there's anything left. If you're not going to be enrolled in school, then it could be that they issue the check to you, or maybe they would say, okay, we'll hold on to it till you're ready to go. But it's important, if you're not currently enrolled in college and you're applying to scholarships, you're going to want to check the terms and conditions of the scholarships that you're applying to, just to make sure that if you get the money, you can actually have the money, right?
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I would say for that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. Okay, so I know you guys were looking over, or you guys were talking about how we should be researching our organization, and we know when it comes to colleges, it's really important to research the organization and see, what they're really talking about and what they really want. And so what are, if I have to say, I've heard from many people that you need to, look at their mission statement, especially for colleges, you need to look at their mission statement and get your essay around that. I mean, is that what we should be doing? And if that is also what we're supposed to be doing, what else are we supposed to be, basing our essay off? Like,
Sure.
what other requirements?
Yeah. So first of all, again, essay prompt is number one. So you figure out what you're going to respond to in the prompt, and then you do your research for the college or the organization, if it's a scholarship, based on knowing what that prompt is. So, once you know what the prompt is, then you can do your research and figure out, okay, now that I have this information, how can I apply that to be able to respond to the essay prompt? A lot of times scholarships are offered by private organizations, right? And so it's been a long time, but there was one scholarship in our ScholarshipOwl database that I saw a couple of years ago. And the question was such an unusual question, and I can't remember what it was now, but it was really a bizarre question. And I thought, well, what organization is this? Well, it turned out they were a plumbing company, and the question had something to do with toilets. And I thought, well, now it makes sense, right? If I had not actually looked, and if I was a student trying to respond to that essay, and if I didn't know they were, a plumbing company, I wouldn't have known what I should write about. So it sounds silly, but actually taking a look, just spending 5 minutes even and looking at what that organization is and what they do can help you write that essay. And same thing goes for colleges, right? I mean, you might think that Harvard and Yale are looking for the exact same things in a student, but if you look at their websites and you look at where it says what they're looking for, there are nuances that are different. So, and that's just Harvard and Yale, and they're both Ivies. So every type of college has kind of what they're looking for.
Okay,
right.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I think Erica Lee is next because she's been trying. I see her in the chat group. She had problem connecting. So Erica, you made it. Welcome.
Welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, and we can see you.
Okay. Hello. I wanted to ask actually something. What are some ways of telling if there's a scam in a scholarship or if it's like authentic? Because there are so many options. It's just like you don't really know what's real and what's fake and what they want, if they want to like take your money or information.
So, sure, absolutely. So first of all, if you're looking for scholarships online, which is what most people do, they search in Google and try to find scholarships, and you'll find hundreds, and it's so overwhelming to see so many options, and then you can try to figure out which ones to apply to, and you click on one and you read it. So I'm going to first talk about if you're using Google to search, like most people do. So the first thing you want to do is you click on the scholarship. You want to read what it is. Ideally, you want to find a scholarship that's been offered previously by that same company. So maybe it's something they do every year, and you can look and kind of see historically. They usually will list who the winner was in the previous year and maybe the year before that. If they list who a winner is and there's, the name of the person, there's a photo, or maybe somebody saying, thank you for the scholarship, those scholarships are probably legitimate, right? You can probably feel pretty safe that they're going to be happening. But you also need to make sure that when you're applying that the deadline hasn't passed, because sometimes you do all the work to write the essay and everything and you get ready to apply, and then it turns out that it shouldn't still be showing, that it actually expired 3 months ago. So those are the kinds of things you want to look for. If you are using ScholarshipOwl to apply for scholarships, that work has pretty much been done for you. As I mentioned earlier, we have a credibility score in there so that you know if the scholarship has a high score, that it's pretty reliable and that we've verified it. If it's got a low score, it's one that we haven't been able to verify maybe, or if the verification is a little sketchy. So that's just something that's within our platform that you can use. But yeah, I understand the idea of scholarship scams, but most are legitimate. But also you have to remember that a lot of times people that offer scholarships might be offering it to get student information. They're looking for lead generation. So this is especially true for the scholarships where they don't require an essay, where they just say, just apply, no essay required. Usually what they're hoping to do is get your contact information so that they can send you emails and try to get you to buy their product or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you know that that's kind of what you're signing up for when you apply to those scholarships. Also remember that there'll be thousands and thousands of students that apply to the no essay scholarships. The ones that actually make you do a little work, there is a lot less competition for those scholarships. And so it's easier to win those.
Okay, thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
actually have one more question.
Okay.
Wait, it was in the chat somewhere, but a lot happened.
A lot happened. The chat I noticed is very active, and I really like that you guys talk with each other and help each other. That's great. I see the chat is this is really good.
All right. Well, can you think of your second question, or should we move on to someone else?
You can come back to me because I need to find it still.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. So who's next?
Rebecca, do you have a camera? I know you've been on here for a while.
Oh yeah, I do. I'm sorry.
Okay. Hi. How are you?
I am good. So
how can I help you?
So my question is, how am I able to write a scholarship essay about my ethnicity without being shown as like I want to use my ethnicity to get into the school? Like I want to show like how my family and how like they taught me who I am and how they will make me like continue to grow who I am. Like I will not abandon the teaching they taught me.
Yeah, I think that's a great essay topic. I don't think you have to worry about it appearing you're using your ethnicity. If you're writing writing about something that's important to you and that makes you who you are and it's authentic, they're not going to even question that. They want to get to know you. And I should mention also, of course, colleges look for diversity in their campuses anyway. So you don't have to worry about it being looked at badly. I think it's wonderful. And everybody should try to find something that's unique and special that they can share with the person who's reading their essays. So absolutely, go for it.
One more question. So let's say it's like a research based essay, like something about the world or something about that. How am I able to show myself without like sometimes they usually go to like the perspective of the person's essay. How am I able to show myself through that essay?
That it's a little different. I will say that most of the time they're usually not research-based essays. Occasionally they are. You'll find scholarships where it'll be like, tell us how the internet has changed business. You'll find some sort of essays like that where it's like, well, I guess I got to research that a little bit. So in those situations where it's more of a question about something and it's not about you, you don't have to necessarily put yourself into that essay. But if there's a way to do it, you could do that kind of in the final paragraph where you can kind of reflect on the subject matter and put that into your conclusion. That's one way to do it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes. How can I help you?
Yes, I'm James, and I'm from Africa, Liberia specifically. Yeah. I'm a college student. I'm in my junior year, and I would actually like to know what are the chances of an African student having a scholarship based upon their application, especially to the ones.
Okay, so are you currently a college student in Africa, or are you currently an international student in the United States?
I'm a college student in Africa.
Okay, and are you hoping to come to the United States for your education?
Yes, that's my wish.
Okay, so first of all, I will say that it is harder for an international student to get scholarships. You probably know that already. But just for those who don't know, it is harder to get a scholarship if you're an international student. However, there are some universities that are more generous with scholarships for international students, and you can usually Google that online and find lists of colleges that are more generous. Also, you can apply. So let me just preface this and say the best scholarships for international students usually come from the universities themselves. And these are going to be from universities that specifically are interested in bringing in international students to have greater diversity on campus, to add to the campus culture. So those would be the scholarships that you're going to have the greatest chance of getting. That said, there are other organizations where you can apply for scholarships, and we do have them in our database with ScholarshipOwl that you can qualify for. And you can, of course, find some online, but it's a harder road to hoe to be able to get to be here as an international student. I've worked with a lot of students that are international, and they will say, how can I get a full ride? And most universities do not give full ride scholarships to any students, let alone international students. So it's something you have to know up front. You probably have to be able to self-fund at least part of your education. But I highly recommend that you look online and see which colleges are more generous with financial aid for international students.
All right, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Okay, I have my question. It's one more question.
Okay.
And should you? Oh, the question is it harder to apply to graduate school than it is undergrad, like when it comes to scholarships and just the acceptance into the program?
Sure. So, and I'll just talk about this briefly. It is harder to get scholarships for graduate school. And I think you probably saw some of the people that came on earlier, because most scholarships tend to target more for undergraduates. So that's just something you need to know. Doesn't mean you can't get them, but you should know that. A lot of universities do offer some amount of scholarship to attract applicants for their graduate programs. So wherever you're going to apply, you're going to want to see what they're offering to graduate students. There are fully funded PhD programs that you can explore if you want to go that route and get a PhD. And then as far as is it harder to get in, there's a little bit more hoops usually to get into graduate school. They usually want a personal statement. They want letters of recommendation. You don't have to have SAT or ACT scores, but you need to usually have a GRE, or if you're applying to medical school, you need the MCAT or whatever. So there's some kind of entrance exam score that you're going to need most likely. But at the same time, your GPA doesn't have to be like what they say in high school. You know, you don't have to try to get a 4.0 in college to get into grad school. Most grad schools want you to have at least a 3.0 for your college GPA, and the ones that are more selective, of course, would like something higher than that. But that just gives you a ballpark to consider.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. All right.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Cool. So I actually have a question about the GRE. I'm applying for Masters of Social Work programs for next year, but most of them don't require the GRE, but should I still take it for scholarships?
Yes, I would suggest taking it, and for two reasons. One, because if you get a good score, that's something that's going to boost your application to get in, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to submit it if it's not good. And then, yes, for scholarships, it's always a good idea to have those exam scores so that you can apply for them. And congratulations.
Cool. Thank you. That's it.
Well, you're doing great, Jennifer. Thank you for all the advice. You have been talking for 1.5 hours. So I just want to do a little pulse. Are you alive?
I am alive. How many more people are waiting in line?
We have 5 altogether, and some of them, like Sidhan Thomas is trying to connect. But I think if you guys get kicked out, that's not us kicking you out. That is the system plug-in or whatever goes on. I accept someone here. I accepted like 5-6 times, and they keep getting kicked out of the room. So I'm sorry about that.
Okay, well, let's go with the remaining 5 people or so that are here, and then we'll do another check-in, see if there's anybody left. If there's somebody who has been repeatedly kicked out and can't get back in, maybe that person could put something in the chat, and maybe we can catch that question before we log off.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so who's next?
We are waiting for someone to turn on the camera. The first one who turns on the camera will speak.
Hello. Oh, there you are. Hello again. I think you need to take off your mute.
You're muted.
I just didn't know how to switch it up.
When is the checklist going to be available for the essay portion of that?
Adrian, do you know about when that email goes out with the checklist?
Yes, I think. Let me check. But you will probably get it within a few hours. So yeah, it will go out.
Okay, yeah, that was my question. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
I will actually drop the link in the chat as well.
Oh, good.
In addition to that, so you guys can get it. Okay, I'll do that right now.
Cool. Hello.
Hello. Okay. Hi. My name's Sid. I know that's the long name. I just go by Sid because it's a lot easier. It makes life easier for everyone.
Okay.
I'm a rising senior this fall, and I just had this really major question. I am like your everyday average student who's like 3.5 GPA, doesn't really do sports. Yeah, it has no real, like wants to do something, but there's nothing unique about him. I mean, I play instruments, but it's all like a hobby. It's never in regulated by like a music class. So yeah, like I just want to know like how an all average kid like me can actually get scholarships.
Okay. Well, first of all, I don't know who you are. None of us know you, but I can guarantee there's something about you that makes you special. So you might think you're average, but every person has something they bring to the table. So that's the first of all. Don't consider yourself as average, right? That's the first mistake, is to pigeonhole yourself and not recognize what makes you you. As far as your GPA, you might say 3.5 is average. It's actually pretty good. So, you might not be a 4.0 student, but you're also not a 2.5, right? So again, your GPA is decent. There are colleges that would love to have you. So know that right away. There are colleges that would love to have you. And then have you taken SAT or ACT, or were you not able to?
I'm gonna take one for the first time in September at school.
Okay. All right. So I first of all, as I would recommend to anyone, study, do the work you can to try to boost your score, especially if you might only have one chance to take it because of COVID. A lot of schools are test optional now, but it's worthwhile to try to do the best you can, because if you get a score you're proud of, then that can actually boost your application. And if you don't like it, you don't have to submit it, because a lot of schools, are not requiring them right now. As far as extracurriculars, if you do play instruments, for example, and if you don't do it in school, that's okay. It's still an extracurricular activity that you can say is yours. There are a lot of students who do things outside of school that you can always count. And I'm just going to reel off some examples. People volunteer at their church. People volunteer at a local animal shelter. They love to draw on the side, and they might not take an art class, but they might have sketchbooks filled with drawings. So these are the kinds of things you need to think about. It doesn't have to be something associated with the school. It's true that if you don't talk about it, they'll never know. So think about the things that you do that make you special, that are your passions, your interests, and just write them all down. Take a bunch of notes and figure out which ones you want to talk about in your essays or in that additional information section portion of the application. And don't sell yourself short. And like I told another student earlier, ask people who care about you what you should talk about, what makes you special. If you have volunteered, if you have had a job, if you have babysat your little sibling, there's all kinds of things that you could talk about.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And just one more question. They say, and like my English teacher said in junior year, she's gone now, like she's left the school. She says that playing the immigrant card in college essays does wonders for you. And I never quite understood. I don't think many people understood exactly what she meant.
Yeah, I don't know why people say things like that. I don't think that's accurate, and I don't think it's helpful, to be honest with you. I don't think it's ever helpful to tell somebody that there's some kind of a spin that you can put on something to try to, get in a secret way. Just be yourself. If you are an immigrant, and if that is something that has been meaningful to your life, you can certainly write about it and talk about it. But don't do it because you think it's.
Don't do it because you feel forced to.
Exactly. Only talk about it if it's something you want to talk about.
All right. Yeah, I think that's all my questions. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
I want to say one thing is that I uploaded the checklist on the files. I see some people got it. I don't see the same screen as you guys, so I don't know what you're seeing. And I'm also going to upload a bonus, since you guys have been so great today and ask a lot of questions. We have made an essay guidebook that is really good, that will also upload there, that you guys can use. And we'll finish with the people we have now, and that's the last for the questions.
All right. So who's first? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I am going to be a senior in high school, and I would really like to do nursing, but I have looked at a lot of nursing scholarships, and of course I'm past the deadline now. But should I start applying to them, even though I'm not going to be doing my rounds and stuff until later on in college?
So what year are you in high school now?
I am going to be a senior.
Okay. So yeah, I would start applying now because there's an opportunity, you'll be going next year. So you need to start making money now for next year. And also a lot of people don't realize that when you apply for scholarships, it can sometimes take months for them to make decisions. So definitely apply now so that by the time you're making your college decision in May, hopefully you'll know by then if you received some of those scholarships. So yeah, definitely apply now.
Even nursing scholarships, since that's what I'm planning my major.
Yeah, are you going to be going directly in as a nursing major, or are you going to be transferring? What's your plan?
I'm planning to go to one university, and I'm planning to be a bachelor's of science in nursing. That's what I'd like to do as my degree.
Yeah, then definitely go ahead and apply for nursing scholarships. Absolutely.
All right, that's all I had to ask. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So I'm a writing senior, and you guys talked about college essays earlier, but you said to be like personal and just be yourself. But I get told a lot that the way I talk is very like straightforward and very like to the point, so it's not very it's not going to be useful for the college essay. And my mom is the total opposite of me. So having her read my stuff is like, she's like, oh, you have to do this, or you have to do this, or you have to sound like this, when it's not necessarily like me. So I was just wondering, like, how should I deal with that? Like, how should I work around it?
So are you saying you're somebody who's really direct and to the point?
Yeah.
I think that works great. That's what I think. I'm direct and to the point. Don't be afraid to be yourself. I mean, I can say that over and over and over again, but people who are direct and to the point, they're bold, they're assertive, they take care of themselves, they advocate for themselves. So absolutely, there's nothing wrong with being yourself. Now, that all said, if your mom has a specific opinion, and if you look at what her comments are and you sort of agree in certain areas, then, you can make adjustments to cover for that. But, don't try to be someone you're not. Be yourself. And I'll tell you, colleges are looking for students that are direct and that advocate for themselves and who know what they want and know how to get it, right? They're going to be the students that are the movers and shakers on campus. So I think that's awesome.
I can't say it. Yeah,
Thank you.
I can't say that enough, because I remember back in the days when I was a university, I was always so insecure about everything. My life, what people thought about me, if I'm going to complete school or not. But really, when I'm getting older, I was like, just be yourself. You're wonderful the way you are. You're beautiful. Shine, be what you are, and don't feel like you're judged by other people. And this is how you're going to stand out. And that's what we need in this world. We need you guys to be unique and not fall in line with everyone else. So be proud of yourself. And that goes for everybody.
All right.
I have a question. I have a question about the video essays. Do a lot of the same things go for them? And because they're often between 1 and 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really depends. There are scholarships that ask for a video. It's up to you if you want to apply for them. A lot of people are afraid to be on camera. They'd rather write. Other people would say, I'd rather not have to type anything. I'll just talk, So you have to decide which ones are the right ones for you. And if it's something where you want to give it a shot, give it a shot. There's nothing wrong with that. I will say that I would guess that video scholarships are not as common as essay scholarships. And so it could be that you have fewer applicants to compete against if you're doing a video scholarship. I think it's worth it. It's worth doing. And, it doesn't mean to just sit there and wait to think of something to say. You want to prepare, right? You want to think first about what you want to talk about. You'll probably record it a bunch of times till you feel comfortable and like the way it looks. But yeah, go for it. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Are we good? Is that everybody? Or is there any stragglers?
We have one left, India Brooks. I know Terrace Murphy, I'm very sorry. I have approved you 20 times. I'm so sorry. I don't know what the glitch is. I can't help you. But if you write your question in the chat, I will make sure to ask Jennifer that right away, because I know you've been trying.
All right, so maybe Therese, you can do that, write your questions, then I'll talk to the last person here and then we'll get to your questions.
Okay, so I am a senior citizen, an African American, and a woman. Should I bring those attributes up in the essay?
I think if they are relevant to what you're talking about, absolutely. If you're a senior, I think that's important. You know, I think the average college student is younger, and so that's something unique you bring to the table. And to say you're a senior and you're going back to school, I think people find that exciting. And also, colleges are looking for what they refer to as reentry students. So it's actually, you know, it's a good thing to be able to talk about that, talking about being female, talking about being African American. I think that's great. And yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. It's wonderful listening to you. I didn't see you get stumped today, unfortunately. So we got to work on some better questions for you, because this is just, you're just showing off here. But I think it's guys. You know, we created the Scholarship Owl, and the team has been working really hard the last year to add features to help you guys, including the confidence score, so you guys don't get scammed, including the beautiful new essay writing tool. Sign up for a 7-day trial and just try the tools out. They're really there to help you guys, and there's a lot more coming down the roadmap. And you know, I think we charge now $9 a month, and you know, if you're going to go out there on your own applying for scams, trying to find the right ones, it's very time consuming, and we do what we can to help you to be more productive and apply for more, because what Jennifer said is all about applying for a lot, and to do that you need a tool to help you. And that is what we're trying to create, so you can put your effort on steroids per se, and then just apply for as many as you can, as fast as you can, and that's how you can increase your chances. There's no magic formula. It is just it's work. You earn scholarship, you don't win them. Yeah. So that's really important. And also for you who got affected by COVID-19, please go to futuremindsfund.org. And what we have done is that we're doing the best we can to raise money for you to help everyone that's been, I think everyone here has been affected by COVID-19, so you all should go there.